Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, obviously you can see this is a little bit of a different perspective. I am going to be filming a GoPro Tack Up and Ride with me featuring the one and only G. I was about to say my favourite, which is really bad because you don't have favourites, but if I had to pick, life or death scenario, it would probably be G, and just because he doesn't have a bad bone in his body. He's the kindest natured horse I've ever had the pleasure of owning. Sunny, Billy and Teddy are all beautiful horses, but they do all have quirks one way or another. G is just very, very special. So anyway, we don't have favourites, but if I had to, it would be G. So I went and I got his bridle and his saddle. Now to pick a saddle pad. These are all my Blackheart Equestrian ones. There is more, but these are the ones I keep down at the stables. I grabbed his boots, also Blackheart boots, nice and fluffy. We like the fluffy boots, and they are faux fur, so no worries about real fur there. So I go and fetch him out of his stable. He has already been on the horse walker. I do put him on most days before I ride, just in case, just to have a nice walk. I also like him to stretch his body and get 10 minutes just out of the stable, having a nice stretch before I ride. But as you can see, in England it is very cold at the moment. He is double rugged. He is very warm in his little pyjamas at the moment. Slipping his head collar on. He does put his head down for you, but it's not quite as helpful as you may think because he loves to chew it. As you can see, he chewed the rope, and this time he actually barged me out of the stable, which is really unusual for G. He never ever barges me out of the stable. I think he was feeling a little bit fresher that morning, but once we were out, the lucky thing about G is he doesn't tend to run off anywhere. He has a little play, as all stallions do. He loves to nibble things. I did have to give him a little telling off though, because he is not allowed to run out of the stable, and with a horse this large and this powerful, if you don't tell them off, they won't respect you, and it's a whole world of pain after there. We don't need G to get naughty, and it's not safe for anyone handling him, so he did get a little tap on the nose for that one. Then to tack up, so obviously I've got to start by taking his beautiful snuggly warm pyjamas off, which I'm sure he wasn't too happy about. On this particular day it was quite chilly. Normally I put the heat lamps on, but he was really toasty under his rug, so I don't want to overheat him. It's not healthy whether you're a horse or human. So take his nice rug off. He typically tries to just bite the ropes at this point and play around, which I always find quite endearing. I think he's absolutely adorable, giving me that side eye. So rug off. I don't know why this was taking me so long on this particular day. You'd think it was quite a quick process, but alas, it doesn't appear to be, does it? So we have cross ties, which is what the two ropes either side of him are. They're just safer because if you tie them with just one rope, it's very easy for them to move around, put their bum in the wrong place, whatever. Cross ties just keeps him nice and straight, and it makes it easier and safer to tack up. He is very nosy, so when you're tacking up, he normally just looks at you either side and is a bit like, oh, what are you doing? So I have to find a brush. I actually bought some new brushes recently. I thought mine had seen better days. So I bought a couple of new brushes from our local tack shop, a nice flat one like you see there, and they just give his face a nice brush. What I do love about G is that he will let you brush his face. My other horse, Teddy, is very, very head shy, so it doesn't matter how muddy or dirty he is, you cannot get to that face. So it is quite nice and relaxing to just be able to just brush their face, their ears, whatever you need to do, and then just stand still. He always gets a little leg brush too, because he likes to lie down in his shavings in bed. As you can see, he is very, very clean. He only has a handful of shavings in his tail and his mane, so I do feel very lucky from that point. Also, you might notice that G is very, very shiny, so he only gets like a quick flick off brush a day and then an occasional bath. Obviously in winter I don't like to bath them too much because it is very cold and it's just not nice for them to be all wet. So the reason he's so shiny is it's something to do with stallions. Most stallions have a much shinier coat, and I think it's to do with the hormones and the testosterone. So that is a very nice perk of having a beautiful black stallion. He is always shiny and always looking healthy. I mean, he is very well fed as well, so we feed a mixture of stuff, and it's very good for their coat. If you'd like to see more of our feeding routine and what G gets for dinner, then just let me know in the comments, and that'll be another video in future. So I always brush his forelock. He has got the longest forelock on the yard. I mean, Sunny's is like a tiny little skiff of fluff. Billy's is quite big too, because he was cut quite late. So he did used to be a stallion, and he was cut quite late. So he did maintain a lot of mane and tail and just so much hair. I'm not even sure if that's to do with being a stallion, but it's just a recurring theme I've seen, that if they are a stallion, they typically have a lot more mane. As you can see, he had a little bit of gunk in his eye, and G is probably the only horse that I really don't mind touching the eye gunk, because normally I'm a little bit squeamish and I would put gloves on, but G's like my little baby, and I don't know, his gunk isn't as bad as the other gunk, so I take it out of his eye. And then I go to brush his tail. He does this really funny thing when you brush his tail, where he backs up into the wall and he like sticks his bum against the wall, so it's harder to reach. When I first got him back from Holland, the people who had been training him had given him a really nice bath, and every part of his body was smooth like silk. So I'm trying to maintain that silky tail, and I don't like pulling on the tail too much. So I sprayed a lot of mane and tail into it just to help release those knots and tangles, and to make sure that I'm not yanking on him unnecessarily. I do brush G's tail every time I ride him, because I just don't think shavings look very nice in their tail. It doesn't look very finessed, and it's, you know, not good for pictures or for riding or just any form of presentation. So I do typically do that, but I'm only riding G 5 times a week. So I do 2 days on, 1 day off, and then 3 days on and then 1 day off. So he gets quite a lot of days off and quite a lot of time where his tail isn't touched, because I know I always get in trouble for brushing their tail, because I get told that it's bad for them. But what you're gonna do, I cannot pick every shaving out by hand, and I just think if I maintain his tail, then it doesn't get bad, and then, you know, there's no pulling and there's no pain. But as you can see, you can just see him backing up his bum into the wall to stop me doing it. I'm not sure why he does that, but it does make me chuckle, because I can never reach him after that. Naughty boy. Give him a little bum tap, because and then a little shove, please move. He's like, nope, I'm not moving. Oh well, we were done anyway, weren't we, G? little flick through the mane again. Oh, there we go. Okay, last little go. He's such a funny horse, he's so unique. But then anyway, it's time to put his boots on. So obviously I have, he wears medium at the front and then large at the back, because he has massive legs. Every other horse on my yard wears small on the front and medium on the back, but G is ginormous. He is 17.2. I actually think he could be bigger. I'm going to measure him again, but he is 17.2, about 750 kg of just pure muscle. And someone today told me they thought he was like a proper beast, and I was like, yeah, he is. He's like the gentle giant, which is another thing that makes him so endearing. So when I try and tack him up and put on his saddle pad and saddle, I don't know what it is, but he loves to just like push his body from side to side. So as soon as you've got the saddle on, he shoves his body over the other side, and then it takes quite a few attempts to balance the saddle and get it in the right position. I personally like my saddles sat quite far forward, just in case it slips back, and just, you know, it's pretty much the right place to put it in. I'm not a professional saddle fitter by any means, so don't come at me if you don't like my saddle position. It's just the way I do it and how I think it's good for their back. And he's giving me the side eye like, please, can we not do this? And then I obviously girth him up and try and straighten it up best I can, but he was kind of trying to nibble me here, so, and a bit more eye gunk. We can get a little stroke because we love him. He's so cute. Yeah, so there you go. He shoves his body the whole way over, throws the saddle out of whack, and then we start again. So it's about getting that girth on as quick as possible, and just tight enough that it doesn't move. I don't like to do the girth too tight. I don't want him to feel really constricted, but obviously it would be a whole lot worse if I slipped off the side. So it's got to be tight enough. I'm not sure why you couldn't see that. I thought I was looking down, but clearly my GoPro head cam was in the wrong position there. So now it's time to put his bridle on. Look at his handsome little face. Coat off because it's boiling. Well, it's a hard job tacking him up. It's literally like wrestling a pig, I think. No offense, G, I'm not calling you a pig because you know I love you. Bridle, he's quite good. He's just a bit of a faffer. He just faffs around like nobody's business. And he'll like try and rub his massive head against you. And obviously we're quite small compared to a big stallion. He's got this weird habit though where he yawns just before you put his bridle on. So if you time it right and you don't have your bridle tangled up, you can just slot the bit in when he's open-mouthed yawning, and that's quite a good way to do it. But sometimes we get it and sometimes we miss it, which is unfortunate. But as you can see, this is literally genuine footage of how I see him when I'm trying to do his bridle. He's just wriggling around, shoving me from side to side, and it's not necessarily him misbehaving, it's just him faffing. So I would never tell him off for that, because I just don't believe in telling horses off when they're not technically doing anything wrong. I don't like that. I only do it from a safety point of view if I think that them getting away with something could make it a problem in future. Yeah, he also has this weird habit where he likes to put his head kind of on the floor while you're doing up the bridle. He didn't do it on this particular video, but normally you just have to bob down because his head's just so heavy to lift up. So a little bit of G tacking up trivia there for you. Straighten that brow band up because we hate a wonky brow band, and I have left it like that before and I got in trouble on TikTok. Everyone was complaining that it was stressing them out, and to be honest, I don't blame them. Here is me giving the sugar lump that I normally get in big trouble for again, because everyone's like, oh, his teeth will rot, but G has a very healthy diet and he gets one sugar lump, so you know, I think he's gonna live. I think as humans we ingest way worse, so I'm just gonna give him a sugar lump if I want to give him a sugar lump, and he does quite like them. He's so picky with his treats that he likes sugar lumps and carrots, and that is it. He won't eat anything else, so yeah, I'm just going to give him what he likes. So I quickly put my spurs on because I'd already forgot to do that. I do wear spurs for G because he is just gigantic, and I don't use them on him a lot because stallions really don't like spurs. They don't like being spurred, so they're just there when I need them, but typically I just wrap my calves around his body and that does the job. He is very receptive to the leg, but just in case, because he's had a few patches recently where he's been a cheeky little monkey and I've just needed them for that extra push really. He listens quite quick, so I've never kicked him with the spurs or anything like that, just subtle little jabs almost. Not quite a jab because it's not that fast, just little jibs. As you can see, he's such a big baby. He is always trying to chew his bridle and it makes it quite difficult to walk him inside, but that is just another cute trait of many that G does. So I'm just doing his girth up here. You couldn't see that on the video, but I always do it before I get to the block, otherwise he likes to kind of walk off and be like, I'm just gonna go. So now time to get on him. He is very good at the block. I've got some horses that will walk off or run off, and he is not one of them. He will just stand there for me. He's tested me a couple of times, but if you just repeat it with G, he will stand still, and we really love that. So time to get on. So I decided to ride inside today. So obviously from a GoPro point of view, there's not that much to film inside. So I only recorded snippets of my training session, and then I took him for a hack outside and down the lane. But he has got the floppiest ears in the world, and I just thought you guys would enjoy the view of his floppy ears. So my typical training day with G is to walk him around for a good 5 to 10 minutes, let him warm up his muscles, and I do a lot of leg yielding and moving him around in the walk because I like to stretch his body. He can get a bit of a tight back sometimes, so I do like to stretch. And then I'll go into a really good stretchy trot, and I'll just let him warm up, head on his knees type thing, to ensure a really good stretch through his back. And I will normally also do quite a lot of leg yield, side to sides, that sort of thing, because his body's so important to me. I want to warm him up properly and make sure he doesn't get any pain anywhere really, because these big horses, when they collect, it takes a lot, so it's hard for them. So I like to make sure I stretch. So as you can see, I'm in canter, and then I did a little change. I'm not sure if we could see that there. The nice thing about these mirrors is you do get to see a gist of what G looks like and our view. He is a beautiful ride. So anyway, we had a good session like always. He's fantastic. And then this is our bank up to the paddocks. As you can see, little Blackjack at the side. I don't know if you saw him then, my little mini Shetland. So on the left is the field where G goes out every day. I do believe in turning him out every day, no matter what he might do, because it's just good for him to be a horse. No matter how special he is, he's got to be a horse. Sometimes I close my eyes, but he is normally very well behaved. So as you can see, it was very misty, and this was in the first few days of having G back, so I was getting him used to going outside every day, because in the past I kind of got a bit like, oh, we'll stick inside, and then it was just harder. He would fight, it would get spooky, and he just wouldn't like it. So I'm taking him out every day to make sure he's just kind of like, oh, cool, whatever. So, and this is our lane, so I'd like to hack him down, and as you can see, it is quite a spooky looking lane. Lots of trees, lots of birds, just lots of everything, and it is a public bridle path, so I was kind of hoping we didn't meet any other horses on the way, because I just wasn't quite readily prepared for that with him. But as always, absolute angel. And actually today I took him around our big field and the field on the right there, and he just loves to look. He is so nosy and just an absolute delight to take anywhere. My safest horse and my actual best behaved, which is ironic, being that stallion. I hope you enjoyed this video from my perspective, guys, and if you did, please drop me a like and a subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I can't wait to share more videos of G and I together.